We've reached the moment where we can start creating applications. Let's start with a very simple project. Hello Android, which will show us the way Android Studio works and what the project structure is. For this purpose, we'll create an empty application where we'll have a single activity so that it's easy to manage. Let's start with discussing the project structure, which we'll illustrate with a specific example. For this purpose, we'll start the Android Studio, create a simple project, and see what is generated by the IDE. At the first launch of the Android Studio, we get a display where we have the possibility of creating a new project or opening an existing one. In our case, it'll be a new project. When creating a new project, we have to enter the name of the application which will be displayed. For instance, on the list of applications installed on the phone. A more important thing is the domain name, or more specifically, the entire package which will represent our application. It's important to choose a unique name for the package, because it must not be found anywhere else on Google Play. An application with an identical package as an application that already exists cannot be added to Google Play. Due to this, some companies have a policy of adding their domain name at the very start of the package name. Thanks to this, even applications with a similar name will have various packages, and thus could be put into Google Play. In our case, we'll use the company name Educativo. The name of the application is always used as the last part of the package name. We can change this value manually. However, it's good to use the default system. In addition, we specify the place the entire project will be saved. As a default, we get the Android Studio projects directory created in the user's directory. Inside, we can find the directory with our application. In the next very important step, we determine the version from which we'll support our application. Moreover, we can specify the devices supported by our application. Here we have the basic Android version that handles phones and tablets. Additionally, we may install Android TV support. We may also choose to support Android Wear. In our case, it's already installed, but we won't use it. Google Glass can be supported as well. The default version for phones and tablets is Android version 4.03, that is API 15. It's no good to use lower versions unless there's a reason to do so. If we know that we have a large user base with devices below version 15, we can lower the supported version. Currently, about 90% of the users use Android 4.0. Version 4.0 has many useful APIs, which would have to use special libraries if we want to run them on lower system versions. The next stop is adding an activity. In this case, we have various possibilities. We can, for instance, create activities using Google Maps, the ones handling the entire login process, or the ones using Navigation Drawer, that is, handling flyout menus. In our case, we'll use a blank activity because we want our version to be as simple as possible so that it can be easily analyzed and further expanded by us. We can also choose no activity, but in most cases, our application will require at least one activity. However, if we create an application whose purpose is solely to work in the background, we don't need any activity. In the next step, we'll need to provide two things. The first one is the name of the class, which will include our activity. As a default, we have myActivity generated. In our case, it will be Hello Activity. It's good to note that the layout name changes immediately the moment we modify the prefix. It's an XML file which includes the description of what the user interface will look like. Due to a certain naming convention which is worth following, the moment the Hello Activity is created, the activity_hello layout is created as well. Additionally, we can set the title, that is, the name which will be displayed on the top of our activity. Clicking the Finish button creates our project. Because that pretty much happens in the background, for instance, the creation of the Gradle project, which downloads all the needed libraries and dependencies from the internet, the first project creation may take up a couple of minutes. Now, Gradle downloads and unpacks the needed dependencies. At the same time, the application will be built for the first time to check whether everything went well. After generating and building the application, we can finally launch it on the emulator. After clicking the play button, a window appears where we can choose the device which we want to launch the application on. Given that we have only one emulator running, we'll launch our applications there. We could, however, just as well create other emulators with the use of Launch Emulator. After starting the emulator, we see our application. We get the Hello World screen, which is the code fragment generated by default. We can also start our application by pressing the icon from the launcher.